Great today. I don't think you guys even know how good today was, but regardless, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy Nate. We are currently live at technically 8:01 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, but 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we've got some things to talk about with you all. Oh my goodness, I am having a great day. And I don't think I've felt this good in a while. I know I've missed a couple things in weather, and I would have loved to cover the severe weather for you all. As you know, I'm kind of battling through college at the moment, but I have to say, I haven't felt this good in a long time. So we're gonna still be battling through it as much as possible. We're going to still be giving you guys as much information as possible. Our schedule is going to be a little bit wonky still. Our upload schedule is going to be very weird. But bear with me. I'm still trying to figure out as to when the right time to upload is going to be so that I can get you guys the best information. Because I got to wake up super early in the morning. My classes don't start until like 8:30 at the earliest until like late September, into which then it turns into 8 o'clock, and that's when I know I'm not going to function in the morning. So most of my uploads will be in the evening. That's most likely going to be how it's going to be from now on until the early parts of winter. But otherwise, it's going to be a great show that we have for you all tonight. Couple things that we want to talk about. Let's march right into the tropics first off. Take a look at the wide view here of the Atlantic Basin. And look at this. Look at this little dude. He's not really a little dude because he's kind of spinning about. That thing is Larry. Hurricane Larry. Yeah, I gotta say, the hurricane names for this year have been very generic. I'm not sure about you, but they have been very generic. I mean, we've had Fred, we've had Larry, we've had Elsa. I mean, these are great, fabulous names, but regardless, Larry is kind of doing his own thing out there in the Atlantic, and nothing really else has been doing all about with it. The couple of other things that I do want to point out here for you all. We have the remnants of Ida all the way up here in the Atlantic provinces of Canada, as well as an upper level low pressure right here. You can barely tell, but you can see how these clouds are starting to spin in this counterclockwise fashion. So that's your upper level low that's sitting right there, just to the north of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. And then we also have this giant area of cloudiness over here in Central America because it is monsoon season over there. There's a lot of showers and thunderstorms that begin to congeal within each other. And that's basically how Ida formed, with basically a little kickstart from a tropical wave that decided to meander on through. But otherwise, it's monsoon season over there, and there's going to be a lot more where that came from. But big thing here that you guys can see on your screen is living like Larry for sure. That's what it's like over there in the Atlantic for you all. Just for a curiosity here for anyone who would like to know, we're going to pull up the true color satellite imagery here and tell you all a little bit about Larry. So Larry is a 100 mile per hour category 2 hurricane with a minimum pressure of 978 millibars, moving west-northwest at 16 miles per hour. You can see a lot of things here with Larry. First off, it has an eye. I mean, that's the probably the most eye-catching thing that you can see from Larry here. But Larry has an eye right here, and that usually tells you that you have an intensifying hurricane. A couple other things that I can note here is that you have a lot of showers and thunderstorms that are really starting to build around that eye, so it's starting to kind of form a little bit of an eye wall. And then, of course, the other things here, the swirling bands are not being sheared off by any stretch of the imagination. You have your anticyclonic flow indicated with some of these other clouds that are in the upper parts of the atmosphere. And then you, of course, have your mid-level and lower-level clouds that are starting to swirl into that eye, basically intensifying it further and further along. So definitely a lot that's going to be progressing from Larry here. And if we take a look at the water vapor imagery here, there's not really a whole lot of dry air besides areas on the southwestern side of it. You can see there's a little bit of dark murkiness right over here, as well as in areas over here as well. That indicates a bit of dry air. Of course, all the other areas in the light gray and even the whites, that shows you that there's a bit of moisture within there. I couldn't figure out the word for it, but then it came to me. I said moisture. So we got this right here. Lot of moisture around Larry, and look at this. It's just an absolutely phenomenal storm to look at. Definitely looks like the ideal tropical system here. But I'll tell you what, for people who are worried about Larry and they're trying to figure out as to whether or not this thing's going to be a huge threat to land, a lot of different YouTubers are like, oh well, we need to watch out for the potential for this to hit the United States. It's going to be moving on through. It could potentially pose a threat to land. And I would have to say, maybe. I have realized that over past trends, over the past 5 days, this thing has gradually shifted a bit further westward. But the other thing about it here too is that if we take a look at the 500 millibar geopotential height, cyclonic vorticity, and wind shear, areas in the shaded areas, as usual if you've been on my channel for quite some time, you notice that the oranges and reds indicate there's a lot of vorticity, which means there's a lot of tropical activity. So, seeing this giant swirling mass right here, that tells you that there is, well, quite a bit of cyclonic vorticity, indicating that right there, there's a tropical system. There's Larry. Couple other things here to note is that the wind barbs are showing that you have a bit of a clockwise flow right about here, indicating that there is a high pressure system sitting out in the middle of the Atlantic. And what this is going to do is this is going to create your flow, your directional shear as to where this thing is going to end up moving about. And so that's just the setup, the system over here for this. But I also want to talk about this right here. And I know a lot of you guys have probably heard of Invest 91L. All right, there's a nice little area over here where there's some showers and thunderstorms that there's definitely some activity that's starting to really form over there. And if we pull up the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook, you can see right there, this is what the National Hurricane Center is talking about. You can see right here in the Gulf of Mexico, there is an area that needs to be monitored within the next 5 days. And the thing about it is with that is that a lot of people are looking down here for whether or not this thing is going to form. But I disagree. I heavily disagree. And I think people are looking at just the one area because there's two different factors that come into this. Yes, there is those showers and thunderstorms that we pointed out over near the Yucatan Peninsula, over near Belize and Honduras. That, of course, is going to play a factor. But the other thing that's going to play a factor here is this elongated boundary right here that's going to eventually turn into a stationary boundary over here along portions of Florida and even central portions of the Gulf of Mexico. And what this typically does is this creates a lot of vorticity within that entire boundary. And you can see here, if we go back to that cyclonic vorticity here on this image, you can see there's the remnants of Ida right here indicated in the massive mass of cyclonic vorticity. And then you can see this entire band right here extend all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico. And I want you guys to keep watching that as this continues to progress. Sure, you have some bits and bobs of vorticity over here near the Yucatan Peninsula, but this is basically going to add a bit more of a kick to it. And that kick will basically congeal into a mass of vorticity in the Gulf of Mexico. And you can see now there's a lot more to watch out for. You still have a stationary boundary that's in place right there. It's still there. It has been cut off from the low pressure system for quite some time, but right there's the stationary boundary. It's still there. You still had your showers and thunderstorms that moved off into those areas. And so if you add more vorticity over a specific area, you can potentially talk about another tropical system to form. And that's where areas over here in the Gulf of Mexico need to watch out for as well. Now, the only thing about this here is that depending upon where this thing forms, that's where it could obviously, as just like any other tropical system, depending upon where this forms, could determine as to what areas are impacted. And so if this thing forms on the western side of the Gulf of Mexico, it'll be areas in Texas and Louisiana to get impacted. If this forms in the central portions of the Gulf of Mexico, areas where Major Hurricane Ida made landfall will get impacted. And then areas over here in the eastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico, then the panhandle of Florida into the Yucatan, not the Yucatan Peninsula, the Big Bend into the Florida Peninsula, that's where you guys get impacted by the system. So it all depends upon where the center of the low pressure system actually forms. Till then, we cannot actually determine specifically as to which areas will get impacted, but most of the models have been indicating that it most likely will be somewhere in the central to eastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico, meaning that the likelihood for areas over here in Texas to get impacted by this tropical system is relatively low at this time. Of course, that could easily change, but in my honest opinion, I would have to say somewhere over here in the central portions of the Gulf of Mexico is where this thing could potentially be able to form. Now, I want you to draw your attention back over here to Larry. We talked about Larry before. And then we also talked about this high pressure system, which is right here, still creating a lot of clockwise flow. And even though the flow over here on the western side of the high pressure isn't that strong, you're still going to see that basically tilt this tropical system and curl it up northward. So if we backtrack a little bit, you can see that it was already on a northwestward trajectory. But once it gets closer and closer towards the island of Bermuda, you can see it actually curls north. Look at that. Curls north straight up. And this is the interesting thing, to say the least, all right? We have a low pressure system which is moving on through here in Canada, and then we have this huge trough. Look at this huge trough right here that is basically going to be pushing on through, creating a gigantic boundary, a second boundary on top of the stationary boundary that was already over in the Gulf of Mexico. So two things here. First off, more vorticity right here, meaning that a tropical system could potentially form. However, because you have that general flow here of the trough to where your wind shear dips down to dips down towards the south and east, goes a bit more towards an easterly component and then a northeasterly component, just like that. So what will basically happen is, if a low pressure system does form right here, it'll get carried out by this boundary and moved off towards the east, most likely across the Great Bend of Florida into portions of maybe Georgia, even the Carolinas if it moves a little bit further north. But then another thing here too is that you also have Larry, and notice where Larry is in comparison to where this trough is as well. So you have flow that's pushing it off towards the north and east, and you have its movement moving off towards the north and west to almost a northerly component. So the reason why I say right now is that, you know, it could potentially impact land, potentially, is, well, not only because Bermuda is going to be impacted, but you could see some areas up here in the New England general vicinity to potentially get this system as well. Now, it all depends upon how this low pressure system moves on through in Canada. If it's a little bit earlier, then, you know, Larry will not be a threat whatsoever. Larry will most likely just be a threat to Bermuda, and then it'll go off to the Atlantic provinces of Canada for, you know, in that instance. So it'll be a threat to Canada, not a threat to the United States. But if this low pressure system is a little bit late, say it's about over here in this time frame, then Larry could most likely continue to head north and create some impacts for places like Massachusetts, Cape Cod, Maine, stuff like that. Of course, it's going to, you know, regardless, it's going to create some major rip current risks across the board here along the East Coast. But the big thing here is that it really depends upon where this low pressure system is as it continues to eject through Canada and create this gigantic trough that's going to be moving through here in the United States, which will most likely create some severe weather sometime in the mid portions of next week, sometime on Tuesday into Wednesday. Definitely need to watch out for that. So that's the big thing there, is that we got two areas to watch. Of course, we have Larry, but Larry is most likely, in my opinion, going to stay out into the water. And if it really does impact areas, it could impact areas here in Cape Cod and the eastern portions of New England. But then we also have Invest 91L, which we have to watch for a couple things. We have to watch for this stationary boundary that sits over here. We also have to watch for the showers and thunderstorms that come off of the Yucatan Peninsula in Central America. And then we also have to watch out for how long it resides over that time period as well, because you do have a couple of high pressure systems that are going to be residing over here with some weak to moderate shear. Now, speaking of that wind shear, let's go over here to the 500 millibar wind shear, which is in the upper portions of the atmosphere, so pretty high up in the sky. And the thing of it is here with this is, I'll backtrack, I'll show you guys here. All these different colors indicate various amounts of wind shear, so specific intensities and all sorts of that, sense of the word. Areas in the white, that indicates favorable wind shear, and then once you get into the blues, that indicates some strong wind shear for tropical systems to potentially not be able to sustain all too long. Now, of course, over here is Larry, and the reason why it has a lot of wind shear on the northern side of it is because it has this outflow that's basically stirring away from the system, but you also have this upper level low that we were talking about. You see, if you guys were in the beginning of the live stream, you guys would have been able to notice when I pointed it out, you have your upper level low that's creating this counterclockwise flow for the most part, and this is inhibiting a little bit of shear as well, once it eventually heads off to that general vicinity, of course. But it's creating this trough that's going to be interacting with this outflow of Larry, and this could potentially inhibit a little bit of shear on its northwestern side. So let's go back over towards the wind shear here, and we'll show you guys again. Here's your upper level low, and here's your outflow as well. You also have your high pressure system, which is steering Larry in its current trajectory. And then we also have, of course, the remnants of Ida, which is creating this very strong jet stream that's been moving about here in the mid-latitude areas of the world. So there's a lot of activity here along the wind shear aspect of this. It's not exactly all too big, all too significant at the moment, but how this basically combines over time is, well, I'll just let it play it out for you in this instance. Look at this here, okay? We have a high pressure system, which continues to sit over right about here. And then we also have another high pressure system, which is about right here. Relatively weak high pressure system, but a high pressure system nevertheless. And then we also have our upper level low, which just sits right there. It sits right there the entire time. And so that low pressure system is going to create a little bit of shear. It's going to push it off a little bit further northward because, as we all know, if you've been on the channel for quite some time, upper level low pressure systems tend to die out relatively quickly. Their wind shear, same as well, but it lingers a lot longer than the actual low pressure system. And so this general flow of the wind shear right here is going to allow this thing to be tilted and move a bit more on a northerly component. It's going to basically guide it towards the north that way as well. So big thing there to watch out for is that how much will this low pressure system inhibit a bit of shear to move this thing off to the north, as well as this high pressure system that we were talking about in the lower amounts in the atmosphere. You can't really see it a whole lot in the upper portions of the atmosphere with its wind shear right there. But, as I said, if we go back over here to the 500 millibar winds, you can clearly see the ridge that's built up in here and how this thing has a general clockwise motion to it as well. So that's one thing there. The mid parts of the atmosphere is guiding the system this way, and the upper portions of the atmosphere is guiding the system that way as well. So it eventually will curl up towards Bermuda. That is the big thing there that we know, okay? Whether or not it will make landfall on Bermuda, that's another question to be asked for another time, because that's really far out in this instance, and it's very hard to specifically pinpoint as to where it will actually make landfall. We just know that this general curling motion will take it into that general vicinity. But then we also have Invest 91L down here, which for any of you who are new to the live stream, the National Hurricane Center is watching an area here, an area of interest designated as Invest 91L over here in the Gulf of Mexico. And so if another tropical system could form over here, of course, we all know what happened with Ida, we all know what happens with typical tropical systems here in the Gulf of Mexico. They tend to intensify rather quickly and rather rapidly. So if another tropical system forms down here, it all depends upon where, when, and how much time it has over water. So that's exactly what we're looking at here on the models. Looking at this again, we also have a little bit of shear over here as well. Look at this. We have a little bit of these blues that are curling out like this. This is a bit of an upper level trough that's really starting to develop. And it's going to inhibit a little bit of shear that will hopefully, keyword hopefully, keep this thing at bay. Now, if this wind shear weakens more and more over time, and this stationary boundary basically cancels it out, then we need to really watch out for this. Because as I mentioned, there's already a lot of vorticity here. There's already a lot of showers and thunderstorms that's basically going to congeal together. So you have the thunderstorm aspect of it. There's not really a whole lot of dry air there. So it's a big thing here is that whether or not the wind shear could push the showers and thunderstorms away from a central area of low pressure and keep this thing disorganized over time. So let's play it out. Let's see what happens here. Wind shear continues to move about here. We have a upper level high pressure system that begins to kind of develop, a little weak upper level high pressure system that develops. But then we also have a pocket here. We also have a pocket of minimal wind shear here in the eastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico. And that's the reason why my current consensus right now is that if this thing were to form, it'd be somewhere in the central to eastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico, because that wind shear is pushing most of those showers and thunderstorms in that general direction. That's typically what wind shear does. It kind of guides showers and thunderstorms towards another area. It's like, you know, Patrick, when he said in a SpongeBob video, for many of you who are young, in one of those episodes, why don't we just take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else? That's exactly what these wind shear aspects of weather actually do. Why don't we just take this tropical system and push it somewhere else? That's exactly what it does right there. So that's the case in this instance, that most of these showers and thunderstorms most likely will be in that area. That's the general consensus as of right now from most of the weather models. And if we continue to play it out here, here's our good old pal low pressure system from Canada that we were talking about earlier. And look at this. It's created a massive trough here that's moved on through. And this trough is going to dictate as to where that tropical system or those showers and thunderstorms go, as well as where Larry ends up going. So it all depends upon when this thing moves on through, as well as its placement. So if it's a little bit later, say a bit over here on Wednesday, then we could still have this tropical system that could sit over here in the Gulf of Mexico and potentially intensify further. Whereas if this moves a little bit further towards the south and east, then it most likely will move this tropical system a little bit quicker out, and it won't have a whole lot of time to really pick up a lot of energy and be able to intensify. So the big thing there is that where will this low pressure system go? How far south, how far north, how far east, how far west? Where is it? That's the big thing right there coming into the mid parts of next week. But for the time being right now, the general consensus is that this trough is going to move on through. It's going to create a lot of wind shear here, and it's going to guide, keyword guide, all these tropical systems as this continues to move on through. Okay? Because that's, as we all remember, all right, wind shear guides things as it moves on through. So we already have the general flow. And if we have a tropical system right here, you can already see the flow is coming from the south and west towards the north and east. And if we push this on through, if we have this trough right here, guess where this low pressure system is going to go? It's going to move from the south and west to the northeast. That's the reason why I said earlier on in the live stream, for people who are new, I said if this thing does end up forming somewhere over here in the Carolinas, Georgia, near the Big Bend of Florida, probably need to watch out for this if this thing does form. Now, the big thing here is that as of right now, it's not expected to be anything big, okay? Tropical depression, low tropical storm at maximum, all right? That's what the models are saying as of right now. But I've seen time and time again to where we've had stationary boundaries that linger over here in the Gulf of Mexico. We've had enhanced area of showers that head off towards that stationary boundary, adding an extra plume of vorticity, if you will. And they formed tropical systems that, granted, are a little bit weaker, but they're a bit of a nuisance. They create some rain for areas that do not need it anymore. And they cause some localized wind damage. So that's the big thing there, is that if we can figure out where this tropical system is going to go, of course, how strong it is, then we'll be able to get the word out as much as possible. So watch out for the system here in the Gulf of Mexico. Of course, watch out for Larry. As of right now, the general consensus is that it'll hit areas here in the Atlantic provinces of Canada. But if this low pressure system is a little bit late, if it comes in a little bit late, Larry could impact areas of New England. So that's the big thing there. Okay. And if you guys wanted to know when these impacts could potentially be, sometime around the mid to late portions of next week would be when Larry would be knocking on your doorstep. That's the general consensus here for the most part. But those are the two imminent threats right now for tropical weather. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the future here. Well, actually, we'll use the precip here to get a better idea as to what all is happening. And I want to go one run back just to give you all an idea as to what I'm talking about here. Look at all these showers and thunderstorms that start to form, and according to the GFS, you even have a low pressure system that forms right off the coast there. So that's that run right there, even though it's the one run prior to the current run, because what happens with these models is that every 6 hours, it comes up with a new opinion. Sometimes it's the same as the one before, sometimes it's different. But this previous opinion here is that tropical system potentially could form, and that it could potentially be weak. So that just goes to show you earlier as to what I was talking about before, is that the potential for this thing to form is possible, and that it most likely will impact areas. Look, it's already over Georgia, most likely will go over the Carolinas, and it most likely will move out off of that if it forms. As I said, keyword if it forms. Most likely will, in my honest opinion, but it'd be over a long extended period of time. It's not a miracle product. But regardless, showers and thunderstorms with potential flooding is possible. But let's talk about what happens afterwards. And this is where we start to get into a little bit more of the sketchy part of the forecast. So if this doesn't happen, all right, if this doesn't happen, just realize the model, as you continue to progress through the latter stages of it, it starts to become more and more inaccurate. So we're basically trying to look and see what its opinion is and trying to figure out if it's correct or not. So let's continue. First things first, nothing really changes in Central America. There is a lot of showers and thunderstorms that continue to form off over there. But then we also have this high pressure system right here that sets in the eastern portions of the United States. And that's the thing there. All right. That high pressure system is most likely going to force a lot of these showers and thunderstorms here into the Gulf of Mexico, or B, deplete all showers and thunderstorm activity that continues to move on through as well. But for the most part, with that high pressure system that sits over here in the eastern portions of the United States, the big thing here is that the constant flow is that if we remember how high pressures form, they have a bit of this clockwise movement to it. So they create wind shear. They basically steer a lot of these tropical systems. So for the most part, they're going to stay relatively down to the south. So most of these showers and thunderstorms are already heading off into this portion of the Atlantic. If you add the high pressure system over here in the eastern portions of the United States, you can see it still has that clockwise flow, and most of those showers and thunderstorms are going to get congealed over here into the Gulf of Mexico, more than likely. So we'll continue to watch that there. And you can see high pressure system shifts a little bit, and you have this area of showers and thunderstorms that could potentially form a tropical system here as well. I would not doubt this as well. Although, as I said, once you get to the latter stages of the model, it starts to become a little bit more and more inaccurate. So not exactly the big hurrah here saying that, oh, this thing's gonna form 100%. People over here need to watch out here on September 15th, 2021. It's gonna be doomsday. No, all right, it's not in that period of time because it is very far out, and for reasons that I just mentioned, it's very unlikely. So the big thing here for the most part is that we know there is a general amount of showers and thunderstorms that are going to be here because these high pressure systems dictate it so. It's just whether or not these showers and thunderstorms can consolidate within this time period. That's the big question there, heading into the areas around the 12th into the 17th. So let's just play it out for laughs just to see what the GFS is saying. And it doesn't say a whole lot. Some tropical systems could form, others maybe not. This is another run here from the GFS. You can see those showers and thunderstorms again here along the 15th. They form another tropical system, but this ends up going out towards Bermuda. And that would be another thing too. That's another possibility because you have your high pressure system that's still over here in the central portions of the Atlantic. Remember, you have your flow here of a clockwise flow. So maybe this high pressure system picks it up. And instead, this high pressure system is a little bit too far north. That could easily be the case. So, as I said, all just depends upon when this thing forms and consolidates, as well as where these high pressure systems are going to be at. But we know for right now, there's going to be a high pressure system right here. It's going to move a lot of the moisture from Africa well south of it. And whether or not we have something that forms within this area here within that time frame, definitely something to watch out for. But I would not doubt it if something forms in there. And then let's just play it out just to see for laughs. And nothing really too much, nothing really too significant to report there. So let's just take a look over here, and let's look at the Euro model. Something else here, something different, other than the GFS. And you can take a look here. You can see there's Larry. Larry's having a whale of a time, as I said, living like Larry. You also have the remnants of Ida here. You also have your stationary boundary that I was talking about, the giant boundary that's eventually going to turn into a stationary boundary over here. And it's basically just going to sit over here in the Gulf of Mexico. All right, so that's the big thing there. Watch out for this cyclonic vorticity as this continues to move about. So as this continues to propagate further and further, according to the Euro, you can still see there are remnants of that stationary boundary right there. You can see that. You can also see those showers and thunderstorms from Central America move off from the Yucatan Peninsula. All of that right there too. So definitely something to watch out for if that can consolidate in time. Now the Euro says yes, for the most part, although it gets help. It gets help. And the reason why I say it gets help is because look at this right here. A lot of cyclonic vorticity over here in Canada. The Euro model actually says that this low pressure system that we were talking about with the GFS to form sometime around the 12th to the 15th goes in at September 9th. Look at this. So September 9th right here, it has this low pressure system forming right here. I think I misspoke earlier. So I think the GFS said sometime around the 10th, sometime that Friday, to when this low pressure was going to move on through. But this other low pressure system here in the Gulf of Mexico, it gets help. It gets help from this other vorticity here because we have this other boundary that's coming out from this low pressure system. That's what typically these tropical systems and these mid-latitude low pressure systems do. These low pressure systems up here in Canada and the United States, they generate these boundaries. That's the reason why if you ever look at a weather radar, they tend to have this giant line of showers and thunderstorms that push on through. Okay? So that's the big thing there, is that these types of low pressure systems create boundaries, and that these tropical systems love to ride along those boundaries. So if we have our elongated boundary right here, and this tropical system sits over here with a lot of vorticity, well then, it could potentially materialize over a short period of time. Now, if you guys remember how troughs work, you can see here's the general flow right here of your tropical system. Well, not of your tropical system, of your wind shear. because it goes in a counterclockwise fashion around the low pressure system. So the general steering is going to be from the south and west to the north and east. So same thing, this tropical system over here in the Gulf of Mexico, moving from the south and west to the north and east. So as of right now, regardless as to whether or not this tropical system forms, regardless, people over here, I'd say in these areas, that would include eastern portions of Louisiana, southern portions of Mississippi and Alabama, areas along the panhandle of Florida into the Great Bend of Florida, as well as areas near Georgia and South Carolina, maybe potentially Virginia as well, but I'd have to say maybe as of right now. Those areas need to watch out for potential localized flooding risk sometime in the mid to late portions of next week. That's my general consensus right now, is that if this forms into a tropical system, or if a severe weather event does push on through here, you're still going to get some damaging winds and some localized flooding. And then, of course, you see Larry over here, still living like Larry. Poor Bermuda. Look at this. There's Bermuda right there. And you got, imagine seeing that giant swirling mass heading towards you. You're not having a great day over there if you're living in Bermuda. So, definitely a lot of stuff that is trying to progress with this. And then you have your remnants of Larry moving out further overseas. You also have your remnants of the tropical system we were talking about that moves out across, and that eventually kind of just sits over into the Atlantic provinces of Canada. So that's basically what most of these models are saying here, is that most of this activity is going to probably be within this general vicinity over the next week and a half to potentially 2 weeks. All right. So that's my tropical update for the most part. A lot of people have been asking for spaghetti models in the chat, which, by the way, hello chat. Haven't been talking to you all a whole lot during the live stream. I just basically wanted to get that time period out to where people could just have a general idea as to what I was thinking, what was on my mind. So let's take a look at the said spaghetti models here. We're going to go over to Weather Nerds. We're going to go over to numerical models here. We're going to go to, let's go to the ECENS first off. And let's go through this. All right, here's the spaghetti models. And not exactly the spaghetti models that you guys are accustomed to, but this basically finds out where the highest, Jesus, I cannot speak, help me. Geez. Anyways, this gives you highest likelihood of where a tropical system could form. So let's watch through this together here. As this continues to propagate forward, you can see right there is Larry. Nothing's new. Larry moves about. As a strong tropical system, mind you, as well, you can see the tracks there of the maximum wind in knots right within that general vicinity. So nothing new in that general vicinity there. As this continues to move about, look at the Gulf of Mexico. Look at this. Couple more areas that are really starting to consolidate, and the potential for tropical system is definitely possible right here. Another thing to note here that we did not see on the models earlier, we also have another tropical wave that's moving on through. So potentially another round that's going to be pushing off eventually into the Lesser Antilles, even the Greater Antilles and the Bahamas. Definitely something to watch out for. So let's continue to watch. All right. As this propagates forward, we can see there's a lot more low pressure systems that form in the Gulf of Mexico. Look at that. Lot more. And a couple of which actually take it into the general vicinity of southern Texas. But then you also have a lot of these. All right. You have potentially 4 or 5 of these that head into Texas. But then you have like 8, 9, or 10 of these that move over here into this general area as well. And another thing here too is that, look at Larry. Sheesh, Larry is a strong sucker right there. Look at that. Very strong hurricane. Very strong hurricane. But the big thing, the big general consensus here is that most of the tropical ensemble members here for the Gulf of Mexico take this somewhere here in the central to northeastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico. That's the reason why I'm saying these areas need to watch out here in the mid to late stages of next week. Of course, you still have this over here in Texas, and that is a possibility, but with that low pressure system right over here creating some wind shear in that general area, I gotta say, not exactly as much of a concern in my honest opinion. All right, that's just, I don't see it as a high likelihood that it'll end up heading towards Texas because of it. So that's the reason why most models take it across areas like Florida, like Georgia, like the Carolinas. That general area, that's an area you need to watch out for. And then as this continues to propagate over time, then stuff gets a little quiet here. Stuff gets a little quiet. Some of the models say that something could form off of Africa again sometime along the 13th. So that would be not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. And that's practically the end of the model run here. Not a whole lot to say after that. But here from the Euro, look at this. That's just more or less what all is happening here. Now, let's take a look at another set of spaghetti models here. Let's take a look at another set of spaghetti models. We're going to take a look at the GEFS and what in the world just happened. Okay, so the GEFS has a different opinion, but not that much of a different opinion. So let's go back over towards the beginning here. Let's start out from the beginning. And as I said, Larry continues to propagate further and further. Nothing really all too much with that. The big thing here is that look at how many lows and tracks form over here in the Gulf of Mexico. Watch. More and more low pressure systems begin to form off the Yucatan Peninsula. And this ends up taking most of the stuff here in the central portions of the Gulf of Mexico, sits there for quite some time, and then the furthest west it goes is somewhere near Houston. All right, so that is potentially an area to watch out for as well. But you can also see how most of the tracks here are starting to tilt towards the north and east. They're starting to tilt towards the north and east. And I do not understand why this website is not being my friend here. But regardless, there you go. Here's most of the low pressure systems. They start to track across Florida, Georgia, and the South Carolinas. You'll still have some others that sit over the Gulf of Mexico too, which is kind of strange because that's not exactly, like, in my opinion, how weather works in this instance. But regardless, you still had a lot of activity that's trying to congeal here, and then the general movement is off towards the north and east. Still have a couple that move off towards the north. If it gets into that pocket of that wind shear, you guys remember how the upper portions of the atmosphere looked with, let's see if I can pull it up here. There we go. Okay, we got it. So if we go over here, forward in time, you guys can see you have your wind shear, which is right about here. There's your trough, shortwave trough. And you can see there's a little pocket of slim to none wind shear up here. If it can get into that pocket, then we could potentially talk about this thing moving off a bit further north and even towards the north and west. But as of right now, I have to say, this wind shear right here is just telling me it's going to move off towards the north and east. That's just what most of the models have been saying. A lot of history has been saying the same thing too. And that's what I personally believe as well. But of course, we're going to have to wait for it at the beginning of next week until the latter stages of next week as well. We'll have to watch out for it. Of course, I'll continue to upload videos every single morning, maybe do some live streams in the evening as well. Well, not every single morning. As I said, I'm going to be working through college as well, so not going to be as active in the morning. The only times I might upload videos in the morning would be Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So who knows? I might upload a video tomorrow morning. But if I don't, you can assume that I'm going to be doing a video in the evening or even a live stream in the evening. So That's the big thing there. But you can already tell that I'm going through a lot of chaos in my real life. Lot of chaos. So it's kind of hard to really uh, balance it, more or less. But regardless, we're still going to continue to do this as much as possible. We're going to try and get as much information out as possible. And we're hopefully going to push my passion on weather to as many people as possible as well. So if you're willing to still stick around and deal with my tomfoolery, if you will, feel free to stick around. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, feel free to do so. So I think the new hurricane would hit Virginia. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. A lot of the models think it's going to stay off the coast of Virginia. If this was going to impact the US, it'd have to be somewhere near New England, but that's even a little bit of a stretch in my honest opinion. As I said, guys, I apologize for not live streaming on, what was it, Wednesday for the severe weather event. It was either Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Wednesday. There's just a lot of stuff that I was going through. And even now, thinking in hindsight, if I was able to live stream, I would. As a matter of fact, I had an opportunity to live stream earlier on in the day, and that would have been able to cancel out a lot of my stuff later on in the evening. So I would have just been able to live stream all the way throughout. But I don't know why I didn't. I really don't. And even after the fact, I'm like, God, I wish I live streamed, just so I can, I wouldn't have been able to do all the stuff that I was doing at the time. And, I was able to cover all the stuff like that. But I don't know. I had a lot of regret not live streaming. And I actually was pretty down yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty upset. I was a little depressed. I was like, gosh, this is right in my backyard. This stuff happened and I wasn't there. I wasn't there covering it live on YouTube. I wasn't chasing it. I did nothing. I did the stuff that I had to do in my IRL, but I could have easily avoided that. Could have easily live streamed if I just live streamed a lot earlier. But I didn't. I was just like, I'll do it a little bit later if I can. And then I got caught up with the stuff that I had to do, and I didn't. And I was just like, But then today happened. And I'm not sure about you guys. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are out there pretty upset, pretty sad about what all happened on Wednesday. Even with the landfall of Ida on Sunday. A lot of people were pretty upset. But I gotta say, the one thing that I learned from yesterday, kind of lost sight of it a little, is that the mentality everyone should probably have. I know if it's not easy to have this mentality because, as I said, I kind of lost sight of it as well. But if we all remember that eventually life will kind of go up eventually, we can still look forward to it. And I gotta tell you, today, I did the exact same thing I did today that I did 3 months prior to me going in college. I sat around, I relaxed, maybe slept a little bit more because I didn't have classes today. Heck, I even watched a couple of my shows and stuff like that. And I'll tell you what, I don't know why, but I had a much better day today than I had those entire 3 months combined. If I accumulated it from what I did every single day. And I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel absolutely wonderful. I don't know why. I just do. So, just want to let everyone know out there that good times are coming. Good times are coming. But yeah, that's the big thing there. That's the big thing there. I'm feeling pretty happy. I'm glad that I'm still doing this. You know, it's probably burnout. I definitely could have been burnout, but another thing too that could have been easily seen there was also some other weather YouTubers I was seeing. I was like, oh wow, they're getting a lot more views than I am. Maybe I'm not needed anymore. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of stupid for me to think. Because they don't have my opinions. And I feel like my opinions might be a little bit better. Now that's just kind of, the arrogance in me as well, thinking that I can be better than people still. Sometimes I need that chip on my shoulder to, to try and do what I do. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I could just be an idiot. But it's okay to have that chip on your shoulder and say, hey, I'm going to strive and be better than everyone else. So, that's the one thing, all right? Other people may have that different type of content there. They might, do what all they do. But I think I'm pretty good at what I do. They might have a different aspect of weather than me, but I think my aspect of weather, I think I'm pretty good with it. That's just me. Anyways, enough with that. Let's answer some questions. Let us answer some questions. As Pitbull said, this is for all the people who are going through rough times. Believe me, been there, done that. But every day is a great day above ground. Remember that. I work my I still can't pay the loan, but I got just enough. Get up in this club, be a good time before my time's up. Hey, that's good enough. Namo with the $2 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Says, oh man, you're great. We love you. I love you all too. Thank you guys so much. As I said, I wouldn't be able to get up to 15,000 subscribers. Guys, think of it that way. We got up to 15,000 subscribers. All right? I don't care if other people got up to like 80,000 subscribers or 35,000 subscribers or 70,000 subscribers. My channel that I have right here with all of you, our base that we talk to each other about. We got up to 15,000 people here. I'm not sure about you all, but that's still mind-blowing to me. All right, that's larger than my town. That's larger than my town. That amount of people. I can't believe it. I still can't. So, sheesh. That's even enough to like fill a small baseball stadium too. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. If Bermuda got hit with a category 5 or 4, it would sustain billions in damage. Most likely, most likely. If you burn yourself out, you'll get depressed, so if you need to, you should take a break, focus on yourself. You're great at weather. The only thing about that, too, is that the only way I burn myself out is if I'm not doing anything else, on my spare time. And that was the issue that I had. All right? I only focused on weather. And that's fine and all right? I can focus on weather, I can focus on my passion all I want. But if it's just that, then if nothing is happening in weather, you're going to be sitting around twiddling your thumbs, you're going to get bored, you're going to want, to not do it anymore. And so if you kind of just have something to do in the background, like college, like school, like a part-time job, life typically gets pretty fun. At least that's in my experience. And even if you have, bad stuff that happen around it, around your passion, as I said, time will eventually change, dictate. We'll have new aspects to look forward to. So that's the big thing there, all right? That's the one thing I learned. Took me 2 days to figure that out, but you know what? It happened. We're good. We're living. We're fine. And I'm pretty happy to have you all with me here still. I still can't believe that I get, you know, as many viewers as I get for my videos or for my live streams. Yeah, I can't. So, yeah, that shows you how grateful I am to you all. Oh, speaking of how grateful that I am, guess what I got, chat? So I told you all that I was going to start upgrading my storm chasing equipment. I may not storm chase this year because we don't have enough people to really do it. Like I'm talking about more or less funds. So usually you guys are actually funding my channel by watching my videos. That's every single time you watch an ad and you're like, oh, I hate these ads. They suck. That's how I make my money on YouTube. All right. You know, of course, the donations, the super chats, the memberships, which memberships are the best way to fund my channel. Yeah, all that stuff. That's of course, you know, a bit extra, but the ads are the big thing that help me help fund my channel. So what I got here, all right, I got, let's see if I can actually find it here. I got a new mount. I got a new mount for my DSLR Canon for my car. Okay? That way, I am able to I'm able to have my cameras stationary instead of me having to move it all around all over the place so that the camera quality is very good. That way I'll be able to consistently get a running video where you're not bumping around a whole lot. You're getting all sorts of good quality there, okay? Let's see if I can find it. It's not going to be that. Amazon. I'm trying to see if I can find it here. Hockey whiteboard, SD card, SD card, SD card. I don't know where it is. Huh. I might be able to find it here soon. Here, let's see if I can look it up. Do I have a drone? No. Although, I would love a drone, but I am incapable of flying one. Because I'm not that smart with flying and stuff. But... Alright, let's see if I can look it up. View order email. Let's hope that I can pull it up here. Okay. What I got is a gripper 5 extra large. Let's look at that. I got this right here. Now this, I'm going to put in my car, and it's going to have a suction mount, of course. So it's going to stay on the screen, the front window of the car, and I'll be able to put the camera on it, and it's going to stay relatively stationary. It's not going to scare the crap out of me. No, don't want to talk to you. Because it made a noise. You guys couldn't hear the noise, but it made a noise and it scared me. I'm going to put it on the actual mount, and I'm going to be able to have it so that it shoots out from the windshield. So it's going to be great. All right, we're going to have that aspect to where I can record from my DSLR Canon. Okay? Now, the next thing that I need, if I want to do storm chasing and I want to live stream it here on the channel, I need to buy some sort of hotspot. And that's going to take a little bit of money, but, you know, time will tell with that eventually. So, not really going to be that big of an issue. Probably sometime the beginning of next year we'll have it. And as I said, we're not really expecting to live stream towards the end of this year. You know, unless if we have like a giant blizzard that moves on through, then why not? But otherwise, this is just us preparing for storm chasing sometime moving on through. Might come off if you hit a pothole or bump. Just saying. Cheap suction cups are no good, trust me. Well, this isn't a cheap suction cup. I was actually talking with a couple other storm chasers who are relatively well known in the community. You may not, well, I'm not actually going to say who their names are, but I actually asked their opinions for it, and they said that this right here works really well. Works really well for bumpy roads, gravel, potholes, interstates that are under construction. This thing works, and this is exactly what I needed. So I got it. Of course, you know, it cost me an arm and a leg for a mount. This is only a mount. Look at it. It's only a mount, and it costs $132. People will think that I am a madman. But you know what? If I'm going to storm chase and I'm going to try and find a tornado, I'm going to at least make sure that I catch it on camera. All right? And if I do catch it on camera, then I'm going to try and get it to as many people as possible. All right? You know, I'm just going to try and tell as many people as possible while I'm doing it. Because the way I'm doing it from my phone right now, it's not working. Let's be honest here. It's not very efficient. It's not very helpful to anyone. No one's really going to go onto my YouTube channel just to see if there's a tornado or not. They're probably going to contact 911 or they're going to go to the Weather Channel. You know what I mean? So if I get a picture and I upload it to Twitter, or if I have the quality that's relatively good, stuff like that, I can get the information out more that way. I can send it to the National Weather Service. They can get a warning out. All things will be good. That's the big thing right there. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Moose Munch with the $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Says, thank you for your hard work and dedication. So enjoy your shows. Thank you so much. As I said, I really do appreciate everyone's support here for my channel. I really do appreciate it. So, yeah, stuff like that helps me out a lot. You know, all these funds eventually will help me translate it to this stuff. And then it'll translate to better content for you all. So I promise you I'm not just using the money on, you know, video games and stuff like that. You know, if I really want to grow this channel as much as possible, I got to start investing in the channel. And that's what I've been doing. I've been investing in this channel for quite some time. You know, we've coming up to actually it's about this month. This will be our the beginning of our 3rd year on YouTube live streaming. We haven't been uploading videos consistently. We started uploading videos consistently sometime in January this year. January to February. Okay? So, you know, it'll be 2 years since we started live streaming the weather onto this YouTube channel. And we're only expected to keep going more higher and higher. So, might as well try and push further and further. Eduardo Torres with a $10 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. You really missed you during the NJ catastrophe. Yeah, as I said, you know, I could have live streamed in the beginning, but I just couldn't, and then I got caught up with IRL stuff, so when I wanted to live stream, couldn't. Here we are. Pretty upset that I couldn't live stream too, because this all happened in my backyard, and yeah, I knew this stuff was gonna happen, but sheesh. Larry isn't even a 3 yet. It's projected to be a 4, and there's not really anything to stop it from becoming a 4, so therefore we put it as a 4. Well, I mean, it's not officially a 4 yet, but the whole thing is that it's going to be a 4. So that's why the thumbnail says so. True facts. It's supposed to be a high-end 4, too. Look at that. 140 mile per hour winds with gusts up to 165. That's pretty gnarly. Very gnarly. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say for the evening. Sorry for dragging you all out here in the middle of the evening. As I said, I apologize for not live streaming on Wednesday. Yeah. Could it be a Cat 5? I mean, doesn't have a whole lot of wind shear near it. Sea surface temperatures, let's take a look. What are the sea surface temperatures in the tropical Atlantic? They're okay. Probably not. I mean, it definitely could. It could be. It's up in the air. All right, I won't answer it officially. I definitely think it could do so. Let's ask our good old pal, the HWRF. Excuse me. Allergies are acting up. So that's fun. Miss Melissa with the $28 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, you guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much for helping me out. Sup, Sabre? Hello, hello. And I am doing well. Thank you very much. Yeah, the HWRF model really does not like this system. It really does not. Gets up to 100 knots. Other than that, it doesn't go higher than that. It just kind of flatlines. So, I really can't say that this thing is going to be, Cat 5 status. Any landfall from Larry? Maybe the Atlantic provinces of Canada, but really depends upon when that low pressure system moves on through in Canada. Said, weather kind of dictates other weather. No, it's fine, CB. I understand. Trust me. I do. What does the HRRR say? HRRR isn't really used for tropical weather. So, it doesn't exactly show that far out. HRRR kind of has this box you can see right here. You see this giant box that it covers. And, Larry's like somewhere over here. And so, I'd have to take some time for the HRRR to get over there. But even then, it's not used for tropical weather all too much. So there you go. HWRF kind of got the rapid intensification for Ida. Yep. Ida was definitely a very interesting storm. What's up, Morgan? Glad you can spot an idiot. Definitely sounds like me. Anyways, yeah, that's basically it here. Hi guys from the UK. Hello, Terry. Hello. Better for severe weather. Yeah, although the HRRR this year, if I were to grade its accuracy so far this year, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. The reason why I give it a 4 out of 10 is because the 4 times out of 10 that it did get it right was the events that happened in March and April. March and April got that relatively well. And then, beginning of April-ish. Yeah, no, beginning to end of April. Point being is that it was all right in the beginning, and then it just, like, kind of straight up gave up. So, not really too much praise for it. And it kind of just did things. Alright, so because we haven't seen any questions... Oh, no, wait, we just got a question. Can you tell us where the smoke will get to the Carolinas, the mountains, and you're worried there will be more smoke higher up? Good question. Good question. Let's take a look at the humidity. And you can see there's a bit of dry air at the moment that's kind of seeping in here. Which, by the way, areas in the East Coast, how are you guys enjoying the weather right now? I'm enjoying it. It's absolutely phenomenal. Not a cloud in the sky, relatively cool. A lot of cold air that seeped in behind Ida. This is phenomenal weather. Absolutely loved it. But you do have some dry air over here that's seeping in. And then, of course, smoke is going to continue to just be here across the board. And it'll get really smoky, potentially, sometime by the end of next week. End of next week, you guys could potentially get some smoke. Maybe, well, nah, it'll stay pretty hot. Although there's a cold shot that's coming in here for the northern portions of the United States. So northern plains might get some cold air. Is it just me? Alright, is it just me? Or am I kind of looking forward to fall? I mean, I already know it's the meteorological fall already. But is it just me, or are we all kind of tired of these hot temperatures? What's the most accurate model? The most accurate weather model at this time, well, there's two of them. All right, one of each for severe weather and tropical weather. All right. We have, for severe weather, we have the NAM 3 kilometer. NAM 3 kilometer, as of right now, is probably doing it the best. There's a couple other models that, you know, you can still use, but the resolution of it is very small, so you probably wouldn't be using those. Unless if you're like, you know, a weather enthusiast like myself, or, you know, high-end meteorologists and stuff like that. But yeah, NAM 3 kilometer, good for severe weather. And then for tropics, that one's a little bit harder. Depends upon what you actually want out of it. If the Euro says that a tropical system is going to form, it most likely will form. That's the one thing about the Euro model. All right, it's very accurate when it says that a tropical system will form. However, the only issue with that is that even if there isn't a tropical system that they say it's not going to form, there are some instances where it forms as well. So, sheesh. That's the one thing there. But GFS is all right. GFS gets rapid intensification pretty well. And then if you want to predict rapid intensification to a T, not exactly to a T, but a model that will take into account rapid intensification, HWRF model right there. So. CB with the $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Will I cover storms this winter? Yes, I will. Good question. Yes, my channel is 365 days a year. We have all sorts of coverage. I mean, we may not be uploading every 365 days, you know, all of those 365 days, but we are active year-round, folks. We will be covering all sorts of stuff. That does include winter weather. Heck, I actually, for my part-time job during the winter, I'm going to be working at a ski resort. So I gotta be looking at the weather anyways. But the point being is that I'm gonna be in the thick of it. Most likely you all will be in the thick of it. Why not just, you know, stick around anyways? Now, I will say, with winter weather, this is probably one of the hardest things to predict besides rapidly intensifying tropical cyclones. All right? And the reason being is I want you guys to pay attention here to this blackboard, all right? Pay attention to this real quickly. So, what you guys see typically on my typical channel. Actually, you know what? There's an easier way for me to describe this. All right, you guys see this, right? We have our map of the United States, tells us precipitation and all that. This takes a look at it at a specific level of the atmosphere. So it takes a slice out of the atmosphere, and it looks at it from a bottom level, north, south, east, west, okay? Now, for people who may not be used to forecasting weather, okay? People who may not be used to this, they may think, oh, well, why don't you just use this to forecast? It's fine. We could just, use this. To which I say, we can't. We can't. We also not only have to use this layer of the environment, but we also have to use other layers of the environment. So let's just take one spot. Let's just take one spot in the United States, and let's see what the environment is. All right, you ready? From the surface to the upper portions of the atmosphere. So not only do you have to focus on a widespread scale like this, but you have to go from the bottom, which is at the bottom of this graph, and you got to go all the way up to the top, to the upper portions of the atmosphere. And you can see the temperature changes. All these little dotted lines right here that move in a diagonal fashion, right here. This is your temperature in Celsius. You can see your red line represents your regular temperature. So you can see the temperature as you go higher and higher up in the sky, it gets lower and lower. If temperature changes in any portion of this environment by a smidge, by a small amount, that could alter your forecast significantly with winter weather. And that's the reason why it's so hard, is because you have to try and figure out where that line is going to go and whether or not it's going to stay there or not. And if it changes, your forecast is probably going to be wrong. I mean, it won't be that far off wrong, but it'll still be wrong for some people, and people are going to get upset. So, that's the big thing there with winter weather, is that not only do you have to take into account all of this, but imagine with these dots all across the board, right next to each other. If you cover the United States all with these black dots, you also have stuff like this, right here. Look at that. All this changes. And the environment is not the same in every single spot. That's what's so unique about the weather. That's why I like it so much, is because everything is different. You get so many different aspects of weather that not every single event is exactly the same. They may be similar in, similar in character. Once you guys see a nor'easter once, you see them all. Some will be different than others, but they'll have still the same aspect. But the thing about the weather is that not every single time it's the same. Heck, more often than not, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be very different every single time. That's the reason why I like it so much. That's kind of the reason why I like doing it on YouTube too. Of course, I love, getting information out to as many people as possible, but I also love showing my passion about this stuff too. Good way for me to vent. Because weather's kind of shunned upon in modern society. But if I could just be myself, sure, I have a couple friends. But here, this is great. I get to be myself. I get to vent my thoughts. I get to tell you all what I'm thinking. I get to show my work because I love showing my work. I think I'm one of the only people, really, who loves to show their work here. So yeah, that's what I like about weather. Any predictions on what kind of winter is ahead? Not really. I haven't been looking too far ahead, to be completely honest with you. I think typically every single weather is going to be about the same. I mean, these areas over here getting a lot of nor'easters or lake effect snow, even some lake effect snow over here. Blizzard Alley, ice mess, you know, stuff like that. Might get some snow down here too. But yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. Would it be possible to have severe weather outbreak during, but with snow squalls? There has been snow tornadoes before. There has been. They've been pretty weak, but yeah, there's been snow tornadoes. So I wouldn't really call that as a severe weather outbreak. I would just say a natural phenomenon. And yeah, if you didn't know that there were snow tornadoes prior to today, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for scaring the crap out of you. Because it happens. Have I ever given my thoughts on the latest hurricane? Do you think it'll come out to the United States? Yeah, I can do that again here. Here's Larry. Living like Larry. Out in the middle of the ocean. You can see over down here at the bottom left-hand part of your screen. Over here is South America. And, Larry's kind of doing its own thing for the most part. You can see it has an eye already. It's starting to form an eye wall. Has these outer bands around that are swirling into the tropical system. Not a whole lot of shear at the moment, but that could potentially change here sooner rather than later. And let's talk about it. Let's go over here to let's go over to our wind shear. Let's go over to our wind shear. We'll talk about it here. So over here, here's our good old pal Larry. If you ever see some numbers and an L right underneath it, just assume that's a tropical system. And here you go. Look at this. Larry continues to move about. And then it starts to move into some of these blue areas here. And you guys might be wondering, well, what is this blue area? What is this? It's like someone just spilled paint on the screen. Looks like someone just took colored pencils to the board and just hope that some people believe that it's weather. Well, the thing about it is that these colors actually indicate certain intensities of wind shear in the atmosphere. So if you have areas here in the blue, that indicates some pretty strong wind shear for tropical systems to not be able to form or sustain, maybe even intensify further. So we have a little bit of wind shear right here that is kind of inhibiting on Larry as it continues to move off to the north and west. And that right there is this kind of upper level low pressure system that's kind of just sitting along over there. And then you have a mid-level high pressure system that's going to be sitting right here. You don't exactly see it right here, right now, because you have wind shear that's going over it. But just believe me for right now, and I'll show you what I mean a little bit later. And so what's going to happen here is that you have flow that's moving counterclockwise here with this upper level low. This low pressure system is going to move a little bit further back. But you have this flow right here, which is going to take a counterclockwise approach. And you have a high pressure system, which is going to take a clockwise approach to this. And so what's basically going to happen is that Larry's going to split the gap, and that flow is going to shoot it off to the north. Basically, it was what's going to happen there. So your question was whether or not this could impact the United States. It definitely could. Depending upon where this low pressure system, where this high pressure system is, Larry could definitely make its run for the money in New England. But if you're talking about areas over here in like Florida, the Carolinas, and Georgia, they're going to get their own little mini tropical system that's going to form around that time period. So they're still going to get some rain, still going to get some gusty winds, maybe even a chance for a tornado. Keyword a tornado. But if you're talking about Larry here, whether or not this thing could be impacting, probably not. Now, I told you all to wait a second because there is a high pressure system over here with Larry, and this is what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so you can see that we have this kind of ridge that's starting to build up right about here, and it's starting to create this kind of general flow of it being clockwise. It's starting to develop. Not exactly super strong right now, but it's starting to develop. All right, you have winds moving this way, you have winds moving that way, winds moving that way, and boom, full cycle. Elongated ridge right there. So it's just basically going to follow up further and further. You can see right there, ridge is very well defined right here. Very well defined. So that's the reason why Larry is expected to curl into Bermuda, which, poor Bermuda. But it's expected to curl up further north and then eventually could either A, head towards New England, or B, head off towards the Atlantic provinces. So that's the big thing there. That's what I personally believe at this moment. Alrighty, so key things here from this live stream before I go. Because I don't want to hold you guys forever. I've been live for about an hour and a half. Okay. We have our low pressure system right here. We got Larry. Depending upon where Larry in the low pressure system is can determine as to whether or not it can impact places like New York and New England, or it just goes out to the provinces of Canada, or it heads out to sea. Okay. So we don't exactly know as to where Larry is going to go, but we'll have an answer for you most likely by the beginning of next week, because when this thing actually moves on through here is going to be around the mid portions of next week into the latter stages of next week. So sometime from Wednesday to Friday, that's when this thing moves through Bermuda. Okay? So that's the big thing there with Larry. The other thing here is that you also have another tropical system that could form in the Gulf of Mexico, and that could potentially form in the beginning to mid stages of next week as well. And that, more than likely, in my honest opinion, you still have some options to where it could impact places in the Gulf of Mexico, but I personally believe that it will most likely head off towards the Great Bend of Florida into Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. You guys could potentially get your tropical system over there as well. Relatively weak one, so probably tropical depression to maybe even a low-end tropical storm, but as of right now, not really too convincing according to most models. You can see here, this is what I was talking about earlier. You can start to see a consolidation of those showers and thunderstorms right there, indicating a potential low pressure system that moves on through, and you can even see that as that continues to move about, and it even continues to try and form that way. So that's the couple things there with the tropical weather. As for severe weather, we're anticipating some severe weather to start moving on through. I would say probably the next strong severe weather event would have to be, mid part of next week, sometime on Wednesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the Ohio River Valley to the northeast. That's what I'm thinking. But we'll have to see. That's my more or less my thoughts on the matter. Tracy3 with the $9 super chat says, thank you. Well, thank you for supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. As I said, all the funds go right back into equipment that I use either for, stuff like this. I'm actually going to be, I'm going to try and hire someone to get me a new scenery, new stuff for Streamlabs. So we'll go back over here. We're going to go, this is what we usually have for our live streams, right? I'm going to try and hire someone to design something entirely new for me. Okay? Because what I've been using here, this is already pre-built by stuff on Streamlabs. But I personally am going to try and hire someone to create something for me. It'll be a new scene change. It'll be a new, starting screen, new ending screen, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm going to hire someone, get some better stuff there. And then, of course, if we go back over here to our main screen, I just purchased this for my storm chasing right here. New mount for my camera so that whenever we storm chase, we'll be able to have that footage here for you all. Of course, we're not going to storm chase this year. Probably would be next year, because I don't have enough money to purchase some other things. But we'll be ready for you all. We'll be ready for you all, and it'll be amazing. Amazing content that we will provide, so. But yeah, that's the big thing. Thank you guys so much for watching the live stream. I have not self-promoted once except for me saying subscribe halfway through. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the live streams. Please subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. Completely free. If you want weather information, I will give it to you. Sometimes it's on a daily basis, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's like every 2 or 3 days. But, as I said, I will give you guys information, whether it's about hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, ice storms, even just trivial weather like, you know, a cool down's occurring or a heat wave is coming. Stuff like that. I'll give it to you as best as I can. So if you guys think content like that is for you, feel free to subscribe. We actually have 15,028 other people here that think so as well. So feel free to join along. And then I actually have not done this the entire live stream, but if you haven't already, please be sure to like the live stream. I haven't said that once the entire time, but by liking the live stream, you actually help me get this information out to more and more people. Of course, if you don't want information to get out to more and more people, that's fine. There's not really a whole lot that's happening, so it's not that dire. But you know, if you want to help my channel expand so that we can continue to get this information out to more and more people, especially as events continue to progress closer and closer towards whenever I make videos, then it would be greatly appreciated. And then one last thing, of course. Actually, two things. Two things. First off, right next to the subscribe button, there's a little bell button. If you hit that bell button, you get to stay up to date with all the latest content. So if I upload a video, that'd be greatly appreciated if you would come as soon as possible. Of course, you know, that's asking a lot because people have their own lives. All right, so I'm not going to say, hey, if you don't come to the beginning of the video as soon as I upload it, you know, you're a bad viewer. You need to just go home and just leave me alone. You know, that's not how that's going to work. But, you know, it would help my channel out, get information out to as many as possible. If you ever got that notification bell, if you ever got that little notification, that as soon as you see it, boom, then you can just stay up to date with all the latest content. Helps me out, helps other people out. And I would greatly appreciate it. So, yeah, that's one. Hit the bell button if you haven't already. And then the last thing too. Alright, this is the last self-promotion. This is the only self-promotion part of the stream, so if people really want to click off, they can, because it's the end of the stream. If you do want to support my channel, alright, financially, alright, you don't have to, but if you want to, okay? Right next to where the subscribe button would be, there is a join button, alright? For $5 a month, you basically become a sponsor to the channel. You get special emotes during my live streams, you get special badges during my live streams, and even in the comments of my videos. You get shouted out in my live streams, and if I ever get around to it, I could potentially shout you out at the end of my videos as well. And then I'm going to be uploading more and more exclusive content for you all too. So, if you want exclusive content, as well as to support my channel while doing so, best thing to do right there is to hit that join button, white join button, $5 a month. Boom, there you go. All right, that's going to be it for me this evening. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to try and get you guys as much information as possible as I can over time over the next 3 months. Of course, as I said, I'm going through college. So it's going to be pretty hard for me to be pretty consistent as to what time I'm going to be uploading every single day and whether or not it's going to be every single day. But regardless, I will be keeping in touch with you all. Anyways, that's going to be it for me. My name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy Nate. I feel like I should explain the story about that one of these days. One of these days we'll talk about it. And I'll see you guys later. Oh, and the one thing I do want to mention too is that in the future, I'm also going to be doing live streams for members only. It's going to be one of those things where I either play video games or I just come out and chill out with you all. Basically like a just chatting session. All right? Which, by the way, hold up. Before I end this, actually, I know I'm holding you guys so long. You guys probably want to say, Nate, you need to stop it. Stop while you're ahead. Stop keeping us around. You're being a nuisance. All right? I just want to show you guys here real quickly. Okay? I don't care if it shows how much... Actually, it doesn't show how much money I get. I mean, if you look very closely, you can see it. But I don't care. I don't care. We have 41 members. 41 people who are supporting the channel. 41. This is more than I've ever had. More members than I've ever had on this channel. We have 41. 41! Look at that. That is all the more reason. I'm going to show you guys my face here. I don't even care. My nice little Noah hat. I'm not a person from Noah, but this is a very nice hat. I love it. You guys are amazing. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for sitting around. Dealing with my idiocy. Helping support the channel however way you can. Thank you guys so much. You guys don't even know. You guys don't even know how much this means to me. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for helping me out. I really do appreciate it. Anyways. Expect to see more of my face more and more on videos and live streams. Yeah. I'll see you guys whenever I do another video or live stream tomorrow. Notice how I said whenever I do it, because I don't know. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I will see you guys then. Peace out. Pew! Tell me one more thing. I guess we're not leaving. What's the one more thing? I'm just kidding. We gotta go. See y'all later. Am I good at hockey? Yes, I'm good at hockey, I think. Maybe. I went to nationals for it. So I think I'm hopefully good at hockey. But oh well.